People sleep peacefully in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. A quote by George Orwell, the famous novelist. We respect these people, I do and you do too. But a question crops up. Who are these people? Men. Why are these people always referred to as only men? It is because when we think of being the savior, acting rough and tough, we think of only men. It is because we think of women as not fit enough to perform these roles. Let us take an example of the Indian Armed Forces. It was only in 1992 that the Indian Army opened up to the women officers. In that year, more than 1800 ladies applied for just 50 vacancies, making it up as 36 applications per post. In 2005, there were more than 150 applications for one vacancy. It is much more difficult for a lady to get into an army as an officer than it is for us to get into an IIT or an IIM. In the army and in the navy, there are less than 5% officers amongst all. Even though the numbers are highest, the Air Force, the numbers are still not touching 10%. Even when they join the army, they are never given the combat roles. And it is not only in India. Let's take the example of the US forces. When they are deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, the US women soldiers were only assigned the role of, at most, the combat support duties. They were never assigned a direct combat role. And that is exemplified in the fact that there were more than 4,000 casualties in Afghanistan, but only 19 of them were women, and that too in non-combat duties. Women officers in army, not only in India, everywhere else, have been constantly complaining of being put under constant scrutiny and being asked to prove themselves. Why? Because, being acting rough and tough, being strong, being acting as a savior is not their role. This is not what they're supposed to be doing. According to them, what they are supposed to be doing, they're supposed to be polite, calm and charming. That is what is their role supposed to be. There is a common saying, behind every successful man, there is a woman. We all have heard of that. And it is exemplified in the fact that in each of the armed forces in our country, we have a Vice Welfare Association, like the Army Vice Welfare Association and the Air Force Vice Welfare Association. Now, who chairs them? Again, portraying and exemplifying the patriarchal mindset of our society, it is the wife of the then respective army or the navy chief who chairs these vice welfare associations. So what if tomorrow a lady officer becomes, the army general or a navy admiral? Well, quite unsurprisingly, that is yet to happen. Now, have you ever heard of a husband's welfare association anywhere? Now, to put it differently, how many of the men do you think would be willing to join such an association if it comes up tomorrow? It is embarrassing for them. Why? Because it portrays the very fact that we are willing to put women in command, that we are inferior to them. The very idea of having a vice welfare association in the armed forces is flawed and anti-feminist. Now, what happens when the women are assigned are put at the frontiers and assigned direct combat roles? For a simple example, let's take the case of CRPF women battalions being posted in the Naxalite areas. According to the Home Ministry, Union Home Ministry itself, and as quoted by the Hindu, there were far fewer incidences of riot violations in areas where the women battalions of CRPF were posted. That is what the effect is on the ground if you give them an opportunity to do what they are willing to do. Now let's have a look on the other side. There are far greater number of women fighting on the extremist side, on the Naxalite side, than are from the CRPF or from the army side. Even the poor and the marginalized realize the fact that women should be given an opportunity and are capable of and should be doing fighting when it directly concerns them. Then why don't we realize this fact? But this protective mindset that we have, it is running far deeper than that. Let's take the example of some of our festivals that we celebrate. Raksha Bandhan, Karwa Chauth. What are they doing? These, the mindset that goes into these festivals revolves around the very basic principle that we need guardians to protect women, because they are not capable of doing that. We need someone, we need a brother or a husband or anyone else, but a male member to guard us, because they are not capable of guarding them. What is this? There was a social experiment on YouTube. You all must have seen that, in which a man enters into a argument with his girlfriend on the streets, and after a couple of moments, he starts physically abusing her. Within seconds, people intervene, stopping the man. Now, when the roles were reversed, people were found smiling and laughing. Why? Because we are too much eager to step in when we see the fair gender being the victim, and we are too much eager to act as their savior, as their guardian. But when the woman takes the aggressive roles, we find it very much unusual, even to the extent of finding it funny and hilarious. There is a quote in the Manusmriti, the ancient Hindu sacred document. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devtaha yatra tastu na pujyante sarvastra trafala kriya. Meaning that deities reside only, that the Hindu gods reside only where the women are worshipped, and where they are not, irrespective of the noble actions that you take in that area, they are all going to remain unfruitful. That is what is exemplified in this particular text. I make an argument that is it because of this godly and higher status that we have given to women, that is barricading them from coming to the ground and facing the reality and taking up such simple roles of self-defense. It might also be because we think of women as an inferior lot, and we are inferior and weak and not capable of preventing themselves. But both these approaches are not going to work in any case. Sorry. Both these approaches will not be working. We need to respect them, not to worship them. Respect them like a fellow man. That is all they desire. I assure you that they want nothing more, and I can also assure you that they will settle for nothing less than that.